Afternoon everybody. Finally a warm day in Perth and back today with a review on the Titleist 718 iron family. For the purposes of this video, I've broken it into two sections. On my left, you see what I call the Titleist 718 cast family, and then to my right, you see the 718 forged family. Today, we're going to be talking about the cast iron family. Now, just for the purpose of this video, I am using KBS stiff shafts. And I've actually set all the heads to 2 degrees flat so I get maximum performance out of it because that's what's built for me. I'm also using Titleist NXT Tour-S balls, which is our range balls here at Canon Eos, and a very good ball. So with the cast family, there's 3 models. There's the Ap1, the Ap3, or what I call the Ap1.5, and the Titleist TMB. Now I'll talk about the 3 heads first quickly, just to give you an idea of the 3 heads. Now all models are cast, okay, but the Ap1 is purely a cast head, whereas the other 2 are cast heads with a face insert. All of them are ultra thin faces, so you get a lot of spring off the face, so the COR is quite high, and these 3 models go further than what I call the players iron family or the forged iron family. Ap1's loft is 30 degrees, Ap3 or Ap1.5 comes in at 31, and the Titleist TMB comes in at 33 degrees. I'm going to talk about the Ap1 first, just so you get a rough idea, and you'll see the images come up on the screen. This is what you call a cast iron progressive family. So it starts off as a cavity, and then by the time you get into your 5 and 4 iron, it goes into what they call a hollow head. And you've probably seen a few of my other reviews of late. Hollow head seems to be where we're tracking with regards to golf clubs these days. All 3 models, again, like I said, have, or I haven't said it yet, but I've all got tungsten insert in the head, so for extreme forgiveness. But the Ap1 is definitely the longest iron in this model. Now, when I'm putting the head down in comparison to what I'm normally used to looking like, the Ap1 is a lot bigger of a head than what I normally look like, what I'm used to looking at, but it is extremely forgiving and it goes extremely long. Now, for a 7 iron for me, I normally roughly hit it roughly about 148 to 150. I've actually seen some shots come out with this that go out at 165, so it is an extremely long head. Titleist say that this head is mainly for entry-level golfer, but for me it is entry-level, but also good for a person who doesn't hit it very far and is looking for maximum forgiveness in the iron, and that's really where the Ap1 comes in. So with regards to this iron, if you're starting out in golf or you're been playing golf for a while and you're looking for maximum forgiveness and maximum length, this is the club for you. We now move into the Titleist Ap3 or Titleist 1.5. What they're saying about this iron is it's kind of a mixture of the Ap2 and Ap1. So you're getting the length of the Ap1, but the kind of look, and I'm emphasizing look, of an Ap2. So it gives a person a feel of having a player's line in their hands. Now, the biggest difference between Ap1 and Ap3 is this head does have a little bit of a hollow design, but it's not completely hollow. It also is a cast head, but it's only a face insert, so to give it that ultra thin face so it gets off the club face a little bit quicker. It's not as forgiving as the Ap1, but it looks a hell of a lot better than the Ap1, especially from a player's point of view. Now, it doesn't go as long as the Ap1. Funny enough, they're going to say it's because the Ap1's got a lot more technology in it, and it's got the thin face and it's cast and it's got all those thick features about it. But it also does come down to the fact that this is a degree weaker than the Ap1. So for me, that's where the distance changed. Now, straight away when I hit this iron, I found that it roughly went 3 to 4 possibly even 5 meters shorter than the Ap1. It looks better than the Ap1, but then also still went relatively long for an iron that looks like this. So again, a lot stronger loft in these irons than what I'm used to seeing. Like I said, most irons that I see in a player's iron are roughly 35 degrees. Like I said, with the Ap1, it came in at 30, and this one comes in at 31. That's probably why it is longer than the rest. But this does look a lot more attractive than the Ap3. So who do I recommend this club to? I'd give this to a person who wants the player's look, but doesn't have the time to practice. So he gets a little bit of forgiveness out of it, but then still feels like he's got a club in his hand that he can appreciate the style and look of. Now we move on to the last iron in this family. Again, a cast head with an ultra thin face to get a little bit more distance on it. This one's the Titleist TMB. Now I'm not exactly sure where to fit this one into the whole scheme of things. The TMB originally was released for the player in a 2-3 iron model, just so they could get a little bit more, I guess, forgiveness in the face when hitting those longer irons. They're now produced it all the way to gap wedge, I believe, in the TMB series. Now this iron, for a 7 iron, has 33 degrees of loft, so it doesn't go as long as the other two. And like I said, I really don't know where to place this model or who I would recommend this model to. It does have the modern muscle back look about it. It has high density tungsten in there to give you extreme forgiveness. It's completely hollow inside, so it gets a little bit more of COR of the face, so the ball does leap off a lot more. But it's definitely an iron where you could look at the other two models before you looked at this. And that's what confuses me a little bit about the TMB is, you know, who do I actually give this to? Because really, like I said, with the Ap3, you've got a head design there that is a player's head design with the forgiveness and length of, or almost the length of, an Ap1. And this thing sort of does the same sort of thing, but because it's slightly weaker in loft, it does go a little bit shorter than the Ap3. So why would you not just fit someone into the Ap3? So where do I put the TMB? Like I said earlier, I really don't know. It feels good, goes off amazing, but for the sake of it, I'd probably fit someone into the Ap3. So now we'll quickly have a quick look at the numbers of all three models, and they'll come up on screen. Now I was averaging 156 with the Ap1, but like I said, there were a couple of shots there that went out at 165, so it has the potential, if I had a bit more of a consistent swing, of really getting out there. Then we moved on to the Ap3, and it went out at 154. So there I was saying, like, you know, only 2 meters difference between the models, but I reckon that's down to more about the fact that the Ap1 has a slightly stronger loft than the Ap3. Then you're moving on to the TMB, and then there is a bit more of a drop there where it drops down to 149, but then like I said, the loft on that is 33 degrees. So again, that's probably why it's just gone that little bit shorter. And like I said in one of my other videos, you know, potentially now you've got a 7 iron that goes as long as a 6 iron and flights like an 8 iron. And all the technology really in the heads today isn't really about, for me personally, getting extra length. When you've got irons that strong, you're going to get length. But the technology that they've put into all three heads, these three heads, with regards to forgiveness and ball flight and making sure, you know, that it actually does get up in the air, is where it all comes down to with these three models. So who do I recommend them all for? And like I said earlier, Ap1, entry level, or a person who's looking for a little bit of length and a bit more forgiveness, hasn't got a consistent swing, Ap1's the model for you. Ap3 can pretty much sit anywhere. You know, you could be a 15 to 20 handicapper, or you could be a you know, as low as a 3 handicapper with this model, and it will suit you. But the big thing is you're not going to have that forged iron feel, and you know, when you're used to hitting a forged iron, these 3 models do feel a little bit more clunky to what you're probably personally used to. So that's when you'll probably go to the next video and you'll come and have a look at the Titleist Ap2. TMB pretty much sits in the same category as the Ap3. Could be anyone as high as 15 handicap, even 20 handicap, all the way down to, you know, a 6 handicap. What feels better between Ap3 and Ap1? To me, they both feel relatively the same. Both launch high, both have stopping power, both have distance. But the Ap3, like I said, will go further. So you'd probably go for the Ap3. So there you have it. There's my comparison on all the 3 models of Titleist irons in this series. Like I said, the next series we'll be looking at the forged iron family. But there you have it. There's the cast iron family. Anyway, most of all, make sure you like, subscribe over here, and we'll see you next time on ND Golf.